This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. I wasn't even sure if I was going to do an overview for Cleveland because I talk about Cleveland every day, good or bad, on this channel. But I got some inspiration after talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you don't know, in this series, I've kind of talked about how the Bengals, they remind me of Nintendo, how the Steelers remind me of a Ford Taurus, and how the Baltimore Ravens remind me of an iPhone. And that made me think, well, what are the Cleveland Browns to you, Quincy? Like, what do you think the Cleveland Browns are? And then it hit me, thinking about the Bengals being Nintendo. The Browns are PlayStation 5. The PS5 is really good. The controller is great. If you are a console gamer and you like playing on a console, this is the best console to get, right? It has the best controller, in my opinion. It has the best selection of software because you can go back and play a lot of the PS4 titles. And we know that the PS4 had a much better game catalog than the Xbox One. So that's an automatic win. And overall, when you look at it on paper, it's pretty damn good. The issue with the PS5 is it needs more games. It needs more games when it comes to those truly next. And look, the PS5 can provide you a ton of really good, high quality experiences. There's tons of good games on PS5. The issue that some people have with PlayStation 5 right now is that there aren't a ton of experience on PS5 that really justify only owning a PlayStation 5. And what I mean by that is these truly next gen experiences. I remember when the PS3 came out and we were going from PS2 to PS3, and I saw MotorStorm for the first time, and I saw how the tires would get mud on it, and then the tires would leave tracks in the mud, and how realistic it looked to me at the time. And I remember thinking, damn, that's next generation. When you look at the PS5, there's not a ton there that makes you go, damn, that's next generation. And this comp becomes especially relevant when we're talking about Deshaun Watson. Yes, the Browns have a great defense, like the PlayStation 5 has a great catalog of games, mainly because of the games that are also compatible with PlayStation 4. Yes, the Browns have a great roster. They have all of these good things. All of your friends are on PlayStation because they won the last generation, right? Because they won the last generation. There are a lot of perks to just owning a PS. You can get a PS5 and barely play PS5 games and have a great time on a PS5, much like the Browns last year went to the playoffs without their starting quarterback. But when you smack down the $500 to buy a PS5, you want PS5 experiences. You want something more than a 4K upscale or an unlocked frame rate. You want something that really uses the triggers that are in here and the adaptive motors in here. You want something that uses the HDR and makes you feel like you're playing something truly next gen. And that's where Browns fans are with Deshaun Watson. See, while we've gotten all these cool experiences from this new PS5 or the Browns, we really haven't gotten that one killer app, that GTA 6, the game that's going to justify upgrading to a PS5, the game that's going to justify having a PS5, the game that makes you go, damn, that's next generation. And when we talk about Deshaun Watson, that's exactly what we're waiting on. A lot of us feel like we bought a PS5 and we ain't got nothing yet that made us go, damn, we could have did that with, there's no way we could have gotten that experience without the PS5, right? A lot of us feel, whether it's right or wrong, that you could have had the exact same season last year without Deshaun Watson. That if you never made the trade for Deshaun Watson, you would be in the exact same place that you are right now with the exact same ceiling. Because we haven't gotten that moment that justified making that trade for Deshaun Watson yet. You might argue similar to like somebody's going to throw out a game and for that got released for the PS5 that was like their damn moment. Yeah, we got Spider-Man. Yeah, we got Spider-Man 2, right? I think that's what the Baltimore game with Deshaun Watson was Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 is cool. But you didn't buy a PS5 to have one damn experience on PlayStation. You bought a PS5 to get a bunch of them. And right now, we got one. That's where the Browns are. They're PlayStation 5. They're in that same exact position. A lot of people who bought a PlayStation 5 and found a way to scrap through it in the pandemic are still waiting for that game or the series of games that justifies having a PS5. A lot of people went out their way to upgrade early. There has not been much to justify the early upgrade, similar with the Cleveland Browns. That is where the Browns are. That is why they remind me of a PlayStation 5. They didn't lose anything going from the last generation to this generation, right? You can do everything you could have done outside of the original PSVR, which, like, who cares? But you can do everything that you could have done on a PS4 on a PS5. It's why I like the PS5 so much, because I didn't own a PS4 or play much of the last generation. So I'm just catching up. Kind of lost the plot there. Browns fans since 2018 have been promised a contender within the next couple of years. And I think a lot of fans are tired of waiting. Right? In 2018, they drafted Baker Mayfield. You saw Nick Chubb emerge. They went after Odell Beckham in the 2019 offseason, and they told you, hey, we're going to be a Super Bowl contender, either 2019 or 2020. 2019, they weren't even close to a Super Bowl contender. 2020, they had their first playoff win in reactivation history. So you made steps closer to that goal, but you didn't get to that goal. And then 2021 happens and it's a whole reset. You trade for a new quarterback, you build around a slightly different core to have a slightly different window around a different quarterback. And you're sitting there and then it's 2022. They tell you the quarterback you traded for was suspended and you should wait a couple of years until you're truly ready to contend. And then you get to 2023 and it feels like, okay, this is going to be the year that we're ready to win a Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson goes in and out the lineup, but then you come back and you beat Baltimore and you feel like finally the ride has started. We're about to be a Super Bowl contender. Oh, wait, Deshaun Watson got injured and he's out for the rest of the year. This feels like the most delayed championship or bust season. This feels like the most delayed championship expectations for a city that has had championship expectations delayed for over 20 years. It's easy to see how fans can get frustrated, similar to how people are frustrated who own PS5s, that there's not a ton of PS5-like experiences. Ultimately, that generation is going to be decided on the games that are exclusive to that. And the same thing is true with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's legacy is not going to be written by what he did in Houston. It's going to be written, at least in the NFL, off of what he does or does not do in Cleveland. These years will be what defines him more so than his early years in Houston. So this year specifically is probably the biggest season of his career, because it either can all be resurrected, all be reclaimed, all be changed to a positive direction, or this is the last straw in the collective NFL's back, and Deshaun Watson kind of gets relegated into failure or into that Carson Wentz category of a dude who was hot once, but now he's cold. A lot is on the line for the Cleveland Browns this year. A lot is on the line for the players on the Cleveland Browns this year. Yes, they have built up something that Cleveland Browns fans have not seen before. A stable, consistent, functional organization. And there is a lot of credit to be thrown around for how the Browns got there, especially there's And that should not be, and that really shouldn't be dismissed. Like, thinking about where the Cleveland Browns were 10 years ago to where they are now, it's mind-boggling that they were able to accomplish this in the amount of time that they have. That is a real accomplishment, and that's why Andrew Berry has another extension. It's why Kevin Stefanski has another extension, and that's why they deserve those extensions. Getting the Browns to this point was not easy. It took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot of hard decisions. It took a lot of luck to happen. It took a lot of things going on at the right place at the right time. And now the Cleveland Browns are not seen as a complete last place stinky team like they were. Back to the PS5 comp that I was trying to get to earlier, and I kind of lost the plot, but back to the plot. Much like how the PS5 can do everything a PS4 can do, the Cleveland Browns in 2024 carried over a lot of the things that were very successful with last year's version of the team. They really only lost Sione Takitaki, which you can comp to PlayStation VR 1, right? Like, they lost that one, and then now they got to replace them. They brought in Jordan Hicks and SPS VR 2. Either way, ain't nobody denying the PlayStation 5 to do virtual reality. So, not really the most pressing thing. Something that you have to consider, but not the most pressing thing for the Browns to solve. They are basically everything that last year's team was plus. But is that enough? The question is, will Deshaun Watson in year 3 of this trade finally start to give you those moments that justify the trade, that justify the contract, that justify the price that people have paid? Not just when it comes to Jimmy Haslam's pockets, or not just when it comes to draft capital, but I think Browns fans have paid a price for trading for Deshaun Watson because they have to deal and talk about Deshaun Watson, whether it be on the field or off the field. There was a price to be paid for that, and it wasn't just by the organization. A lot of the people who just root for the team also had to pay that price. A lot of people want receipts. A lot of people want Deshaun Watson to deliver next-gen experiences. All the things are there for Deshaun Watson to do so, just like the PS5. There's no reason why we can't get PS5 experiences now. Enough people have them. The console's cool. The power is there. Just need to do it. Just need to do it. That's the Cleveland Browns in 2024. Still time for the PS5 to be one of the best consoles that we remember. Just like with the PS3, people forget the PS3 had a very slow start early on, but it wasn't until like 2009 that the PS3 really started to pick up steam and deliver classics. But for a long time, it looked like people spent a bunch of money on PS3s for no reason. Same thing's going on with PS5 right now. The question is, will they turn it around? And the same thing is going on with the Cleveland Browns right now. Nobody is complaining about the hardware. Nobody is complaining about the roster. Nobody is even really complaining about the result. But they want to have those moments, those games, where it feels like every price that was paid for that specific player feels justified. That's what they're waiting on. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.